What's up, everybody? Back here with another banger episode talking about legal stuff. Anyway, this response is response to Charlie's new video about the K-pop Demon Hunters lawsuit, and he doesn't think that Demon Hunter, the band, has a strong trademark case against K-pop Demon Hunters. He mentioned a couple things in his video about, how he doesn't feel like Demon Hunter and Demon Hunters are the same because one's plural and one's not. But the thing is that I don't think the trademark courts differentiate between whether something is plural or not. The reason that I know that is because when I was trademarking the Law Lion, there was another person with a trademark that said Law Lions with more than one. And the trademark attorney said one of the factors that I had to get around in order for my trademark to get approved was the fact that, the trademarks are relatively similar, even though one was plural and one was not. The default rule is that plurality, it does not differentiate as far as a trademark goes. So that would make, like, Pizza Hut, and then I start Pizza Huts, right? More than one. So that would not be enough to get around the trademark thing. So the argument that one's Demon Hunter and the other one's Demon Hunters does not really differentiate. Also, same thing with the whole K-pop before it. I mean, even if it's Pizza Hut and I write and, Amro's Pizza Hut, right? That doesn't make it substantially different than, that. So the reasons that I think that K-pop or the Demon Hunter people have an okay lawsuit is that if you look at the factors as far as what makes a trademark succeed versus another one in court, they're called Sleekcraft factors. And the first one is the strength of the mark. And, I mean, Charlie had a point as far as the Demon Hunter being a relatively generic name that exists, in World of Warcraft as a class and, just generally speaking. That's different than, for example, Kodak or Pepsi, because those are like words that were made up as the brand, so you're not going to find too many, companies or things that are like that aren't infringing on the trademark. So, I mean, that kind of goes against them, but at the same time, Demon Hunter can argue that they've been using that name in music for 20 plus years, and that is, another factor. So that factor goes both ways. Proximity of the relatedness goods and services, they both do music. That factor does not cut in favor of Netflix, the K-pop Demon Hunters, because they're both music. Just because one's metal and one's pop or K-pop does not make it that they're not both in the field of music. And so that factor does go against the K-pop Demon Hunters. Similarity of the marks, I mean, as far as appearance, you could tell by their logos that they're two different things. But as far as, like, Demon Hunters, like, the appearance, the sound, the meaning, all that type of stuff, Demon Hunters. It's like, you can't spell K-pop Demon Hunters without Demon Hunter. So you have overlapping similarity. Arguably, that does go in favor of the metal band. Evidence of actual confusion, that one also cuts in favor of Demon Hunter, the metal band, because they have a case of the person with the $500 ticket. Marketing channels used, I mean, they're on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Ticketmaster, all that type of stuff. That also overlaps because they're on music marketing platforms, both of them. The type of goods and degree of care exercised by purchasers, I mean, the difference between like a $10 ticket and like $100,000 industrial machine is, something that it makes a difference as far as like how likely are these two things going to get confused with one another. But at the same time, like here, you've got $500 K-pop Demon Hunter tickets and $500 Demon Hunter tickets. So, I mean, there's likelihood of confusion. At the end of the day, the trademark courts look at likelihood of confusion, not actual confusion, right? So they only need to show a likelihood of confusion in order to be able to, succeed. Defendant's intent, I mean, yeah, I don't think K-pop Demon Hunters were like, yeah, let's rip off the metal band and make it demon. But, I mean, that factor cuts in favor of K-pop Demon Hunters, but that's not necessarily like the factor that's going to win them the case. Just because you didn't mean to infringe on someone's trademark doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get away with using their trademark. Likelihood of expansion, now, the thing is that they overlap in each other's markets to begin with. It's not like you've got, four brothers, the pizza shop, and four brothers, the air conditioning repair people. They're not gonna overlap each other's markets, even if they both have recognized trademarks. But in this case, they're in each other's markets. So based on like most of the factors, most of them favor Demon Hunter, the metal band. And even though to like the common person, common sense, you might say they're completely different, and because exactly what K-pop Demon Hunters is, but generally speaking, and in the eyes of the trademark court, the they don't usually work by the same common logic that people do. They've got their own standards, and they follow those standards. And just because most people know what K-pop Demon Hunter is, doesn't mean that they're going to succeed when there's Demon Hunter, the metal band that's been in the business for 20 years before them, and it's not as easy for K-pop Demon Hunters to win that. The biggest arguments that K-pop Demon Hunters has is the fact that they they're a globally recognized entertainment franchise that grew within a year or so, and the K-pop Demon Hunters, or just the regular Demon Hunters, have been in the business for 20 years and have not achieved the level of success that, or recognition that, K-pop Demon Hunters has. But that's not necessarily a winning argument, because the whole purpose of trademark law is that you register the trademark, you're actually using the trademark across state lines, and you get the trademark protection. Just because somebody comes and takes your brand and does more with it doesn't necessarily mean that they get your trademark. So it's otherwise, you take a failing company, for example, like Blockbuster, and then I come in and I start my own Blockbuster and I do better than the regular Blockbuster, and then I'm now entitled to their intellectual property and things like that. It doesn't necessarily work like that. I think the Demon Hunters case is a little bit stronger than the average person might make it out to be. I think it's a little bit stronger than what Charlie makes it out to be. I mean, in his video, he's like, I don't think they have a strong case. Legally speaking, I think they do. I don't think it's like the best case of the world, and I don't think it's just a common sense case where right off the bat, it makes sense. But when you look at the law and what the standards are in the law, then I think it starts to make a little bit more sense why Demon Hunter might succeed in this lawsuit. Anyway, that's my 2 cents, right? I've done my own trademark, so I have experience with the trademark process and a little bit of legal studies, so I kind of know what they look for a little bit. It could go either way. And at the end of the day, most likely, this is going to end in settlement. I mean, if Demon Hunter, the band, metal band, builds a strong case, they're going to have stronger settlement leverage when it comes to Netflix, the K-pop Demon Hunters. But, and most likely they'll probably settle on some sort of agreement where they can both keep using their names, but maybe that the K-pop Demon Hunters has to do a little bit more differentiating in their presentation of their product to the market, to try to minimize and ensure that they don't get confused, plus some sort of major payday. I mean, I don't think that they're just going to settle this for, a handshake, but, that's kind of generally how these things go. Usually settle. I'd be surprised if they didn't. But that's my 2 cents. Hope you liked it. I'm interested to hear what you guys think. Leave a comment below. And if you have another topic that you want me to talk about that has to do with the legal stuff, make sure you let me know and I can make another video on that. Thanks for tuning in, you guys. Peace out.